The draft starts in Mobile, so with the Senior Bowl now in the books, it's time for a mock draft today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Would like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started.
Joe, it's not our first 2024 NFL mock draft, but it is our first mock draft of 2024. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's our first collaborative mock draft.
Right. We did one, in the fall, and I guess late fall, we did a mock draft.
Yeah, it was the Kyle Krabs mock draft.
Right. And now we are doing the alternating picks style, the Draft Dudes Classic, the vintage Draft Dudes style, where we alternate picks. I am odds, you are evens. We're going to do the first 16 picks here today on the show. Tomorrow we'll do picks 17 through 32. And Senior Bowl, as you said, has come and gone. So we have some risers, some players who really helped themselves this past week. And we're going to put our brain power together here as we are about 6 weeks away from the start of the league calendar year.
My big objective today is to not forget who a new coordinator is as I project teams to players and start to thinking about who the heck the DC and the OC are.
We joke about this often, but we have to relearn.
Right, we have to relearn
quite a bit of the league.
Yeah. This is a good way to do it.
We're going to start. I guess I got to do the jingle, huh? Dun, 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 dun. The 2024 post-Senior Bowl Draft Dudes mock draft is now officially open, and the Chicago Bears are on the clock. And we'll make this thing simple. They're going to draft a quarterback. I think you reset your clock here if you're Chicago. You're in the catbird seat for this draft, and you have a really unique opportunity as compared to a first-round quarterback who's getting ready to go into talking about second contracts, and you really haven't taken the leap as a team. You showed some growth down the stretch last season defensively. We're going to draft a quarterback, and we're going to draft who I think is the best quarterback, which is Caleb Williams out of USC. So he is my pick for the Chicago Bears, and Justin Fields is officially on the trade block for, Joe, any of your teams if they happen to strike out here.
Yeah, we probably would be quite interested in that. Some of my teams here, I've got the Falcons, I've got the Steelers, I don't have the Raiders. You have the Raiders. So there's some teams that should trade for Justin Fields right now. But I'm on the board with the Washington Commanders. We're taking command here with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, our offensive coordinator. Kyle, we're picking two. Need a quarterback. Sam Howell ain't it. I think Sam Howell will be a nice backup for a while, but we have a nice opportunity here to really go in an entire new direction from the whole operation, the owner to the front office to the coaching staff to our quarterback, Drake Maye. Welcome to Washington. I think he's the one that makes the most sense for Cliff Kingsbury, that spread offense. Drake Maye is a player that's grown on me a ton compared to what I thought about him coming out of his 2022 season, evaluating the 2023 tape. I think there was some good strides there. I like the toughness. I like he's size, got a little bit of athleticism. Probably the most you think about these quarterbacks at the top, the one that is the least reckless, if you will, kind of a more traditional style passer. I think he'll fit well with Cliff.
Just as a counterpoint, you said you wanted to go in a completely different direction with your organization, so you replaced your North Carolina Tar Heels quarterback with a North Carolina Tar Heels quarterback.
Yeah, good helmet scouting to get us going here, Kyle. Well done.
I am on the clock with the New England Patriots, and they have their own decision to make. And I am going to also draft the quarterback here. This is kind of a need for some direction offensively. They've hired Alex Van Pelt as their offensive coordinator, and Van Pelt coming from Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. He was the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator the past couple seasons. I think Jaden Daniels has some athleticism, arm strength parallels here where we can do some really nice stuff. He's obviously very toolsy, made a big leap this past season, won the Heisman. Jaden Daniels at 3 is my pick for the New England Patriots.
Are you familiar with how the hockey drafts go, NHL hockey drafts? No. I don't know that much about it, but I know that from what I understand is like the general manager, some team representative goes up to the podium and announces the pick. Mm-hmm. And I know this because whenever the Sabres selected Jack Eichel, whoever the heck the GM was walked up to the microphone and says, Buffalo selects Jack Eichel, right? Like just really boring like that. I feel like that's what I want to do right now with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona selects Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, there you go.
Is there anything else to say? I mean, it's the best player in the draft. They have a huge need at wide receiver. They're rolling with Kyler Murray. They need some firepower to the offense. This is the easiest pick that could ever be made. This is a dream. If quarterbacks go 1 through 3, Arizona sitting there and getting Marvin Harrison is an absolute dream come true.
Yeah, so I think it would be really exciting for the Chargers for Marvin Harrison to be there. But if he's not, this is also very elementary and straightforward as far as I'm concerned. Malik Nabers, wide receiver LSU, is lightning in a bottle. And you have Justin Herbert with Coach Harbaugh now in tow. And they really need to reinvigorate the weapons there. We'll see what they end up choosing to do with Keenan Allen. I think Mike Williams is as good as gone, but Nabers is super explosive, and you'd like to think that player, whether it's running routes on all 3 levels or with the ball in his hands, can create more explosive plays for this passing game.
The first 5 picks went exactly how I thought they would. We'll see if we have some more surprises here in the second part of the top 10, so be sure to stick with us. But folks, I am obsessed with DoorDash. The convenience of DoorDash is simply unmatched. We're all busy people. We're all looking for a little extra time. It's hard sometimes to get to the grocery store. It's hard to find time to make dinner. Well, guess what? DoorDash can handle that for you. They'll bring you food from your favorite local restaurants right to your front door. They'll bring you groceries. They'll bring you something from the gas station. So check it out. Get some time back. Go to the DoorDash app. We got a little deal here for you. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCK23. Subject to change. Terms apply. Again, that's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCK23. Subject to change. Terms apply. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
All right, Joseph, you're starting off block 2 with the New York Football Giants in the 6th overall pick here in this Draft Dudes 2024 post Senior Bowl mock. So, as you mentioned, we stay chalk from 1 through 5. Are you going to stay chalk here?
I don't know what chalk is for the Giants, so I don't know what the expectation is here. I don't think they're a quarterback team.
No,
I think the offensive line help that they need, they could probably wait on. And they could get the best offensive lineman in the draft, right? That's got to be pretty tempting. But are you ready to move on from Evan Neal? Andrew Thomas is your left tackle. Certainly some directions they can go on defense, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm getting good value on defense here at number 6 overall. Here's what we're going to do. I think that the Giants are rolling with Daniel Jones. I think they've told us that that's their quarterback. You got to give him a chance. You got to give him some receivers. And a hot name is Odunze from Washington, who, I don't know, he's not the most elite separation quickness guy, but a very cerebral route runner, good hands, that late separation, good size, good overall athlete. I think if they're going to give Daniel Jones a real chance, they got to find him a go-to guy at receiver, and I think they got to take the chance to pull the trigger on Odunze here.
That sound you hear is Rand Carthon sprinting to the podium so he
Ran.
gobble this pig. Ran. Num, 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 and he's going to eat up Joe Alt.
Yeah, heck of a pick.
Here on the pick for Tennessee at number 7 overall. So obviously they invested in Peter Skoronski in the first round last year, and there's plenty of promise there, but you have the opportunity to add Joe Alt and Skoronski. It's well documented. There's some positional flexibility there. I think they have enough holes on this offensive lineman that you're willing to just take the best available player who happens to be a premium position and the best player at a premium position. And because I do think Alt really took a massive leap forward this year. Whereas, before the season, Olu Fashanu was kind of the consensus top tackle, and some of the same questions I think do exist there. So I think Joe Alt's development this year does put him in the top tackle spot. And I do think that puts him as a no-brainer pick for the Titans as they look to kind of rebuild their trenches in the midst of a new look offense and a new look everything, with a new coaching staff coming into place there for them as well.
Stud pick. One thing I talked about Joe Alt, I don't know, some point in my life on this podcast. And the question that I had was like, he's so good, but is there a lot of ceiling here? I think there is, man. Like, this is a recent convert from tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much more there, man. I think he's an absolute stud. All right, I'm on the clock here with the Atlanta Falcons. We'd like to make a call to our good friend Ryan Poles with the Chicago Bears. We'd like to make an offer. Hey, you just picked Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. We'd like to take Justin Fields off your hands. We could sit here and pick a quarterback, though, Ryan. So we're not desperate. Here's what we're going to offer you. We got pick 43 in the second round. We'd like to also offer you a conditional 2025 third round pick that goes to a second if Fields meets certain thresholds.
That we're not going to exhaust right here and negotiate back and forth. We're just going to agree.
Yeah, I mean, just understand that they're like, okay, if he starts a certain amount of games, and I don't know if we something like that.
Okay, so you're offering me 43,
and a conditional 3 that can convert to a 2 based on incentives.
You have yourself a deal.
All right, so Atlanta Falcons fans, no longer be mad at me. I've given you a quarterback. Justin Fields is in the mix, and that allows us to do some different things with this first round pick. And what I want to do for Atlanta is I want to go to their defensive situation here. They can get the best corner in the draft. They can get the best edge rusher in the draft in this situation, which is a pretty attractive spot to be. I don't know. I'm a pass rush guy, so we're going to go with the pass rusher. We're going Dallas Turner here, the edge rusher from Alabama. Tools off the charts with Dallas Turner. I think he's got a lot of length. I don't know what his arms actually measure, but I think his one arm stab and his kind of closing radius is really impressive to me. He's got burst. He's got some flexibility. I think he's just got to really flesh out his pass rush arsenal to really be the best version of himself. But Atlanta, I'm not content here, right? Like, I know they have Ebiketie and D'Angelo Malone, but I think their edge rush, Bud Dupree coming in, playing a lot of snaps last year. Let's give us a nice, young, dynamic player to help our defense now that we have Justin Fields at quarterback. So Dallas Turner to the Falcons.
You really screwed me with the Odunze pick at 6 here for Chicago. Chicago's now.
What was the chalk pick? What did you think my chalk pick for the Giants would have been there?
I don't know. Offensive line is just so bad.
Right, but you can pick a guard?
No. I'm gonna move your underwhelming 2-year failure at right tackle and inside and have him play on the inside and pick a tackle. So Chicago now, Caleb Williams, we picked up an extra second round pick and an extra conditional day 2 pick. I could go with a corner. I know Tyreek Stevenson was a second round pick last year. Obviously, they need to figure out the contract with Jalen Johnson. I could go with an edge rusher, but I don't think it's great value. I know they're paying Cole Kmet, but I'm inclined to just pick Brock Bowers and say, let's put as many weapons as we can around Caleb Williams. Run 12 personnel. There's nothing against that. I think Bowers can line up in the slot plenty and move around. So I'm gonna go Brock Bowers, tight end offensive weapon, University of Georgia here in this spot for the Chicago Bears.
Did you give any thoughts on one of these interior defensive linemen, whether it's Newton or Murphy?
I gave some thought to Johnny, but this is also a group last year that just invested 2 day 2 picks in a couple interior defensive linemen too. So for the same reason that I'm not over the moon with picking a corner for Tyree Stevenson, Dexter and Pickens, I'm not over the moon and picking there either.
Too early for a receiver too, in my opinion.
Based on who's left on the board.
Yeah.
If Odunze was here, I'd have picked Odunze. But
yeah, I hear you. So I think that's fascinating to consider with Chicago and where their needs might line up with what's available, and if they're a team that can be really flexible. So that's something to monitor. That's one of my favorite things about mock drafts is kind of uncover some of the challenges that some of the teams would have. And I think the Bears at 9 are very, very interesting. All right, I have the Jets here at number 10. This is an easy one, right? If they're going to have a chance, they got to get their offensive line figured out. They can't be relying on Max Mitchell, Mekhi Becton, and Dwayne Brown to be their tackles. And especially when Olu Fashanu is available right here, I think this really worked out for them. That at number 10, they still get one of the top 2 tackles in this class. Big time pass blocking upside. Wish there was a little bit more in the run game. But I mean, the sky's the limit with Fashanu, who's got all the tools you could ever ask for. And if they're going to get 2 more years out of Aaron Rodgers, they better protect him. And Olu Fashanu, I think, has a very, very high ceiling as a pass blocker in the NFL. All right, folks, we got another crop of picks here, 11 through 16, coming up here after a quick word. So be sure to stick with us. Folks, if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. What's my favorite part of the Super Bowl, though? It's the game. Everybody talks about Usher at halftime. We got Reba McEntire singing the national anthem, commercials. I just want to watch football, man. I want to watch the high-stakes football and someone be crowned a world champion. And look, someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. But if you want to end your season with a W, FanDuel has so many different ways for you to do that. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. And check this out for new customers. Join today. You'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, so I'm on the board here with the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to put a new man on the Minnesota Vikings.
How many years are we going to do it? How many years are we going
to? Every year we do a podcast. We're going to make a joke about the new man.
2035. Here it is. The Vikings are on the clock. They're going to put a new man.
And it'll be a really niche joke at that point in time, but longtime listeners will get it, right? A chance for Minnesota to address the defensive side of the ball. The quarterback board didn't fall in a way that's very favorable. Obviously, they need to address the quarterback position, Kirk Cousins or otherwise. But I will go on the defensive side of the ball, and I am going to draft the position that this defense, if it's going to get a little bit more diverse and a little bit more impactful, is going to add, which is defensive back, corner specifically. My top corner is Terrion Arnold from Alabama. I think Brian Flores would love Terrion Arnold, and therefore we're going to draft Terrion Arnold. He is going to be the pick here at number 11. Thought about the defensive line. I think there's enough depth in the defensive line class this year that on day 2 you could come back and find a starting caliber player. And in a blitz-heavy scheme, you're going to scheme up pressures. So it's you want to make sure you have the guys on the outside that can play one-on-one.
I dig it. Little storyline developing here is that it feels like the defensive line is falling a bit.
Yes.
So nice little storyline that's brewing here. I've got the Denver Broncos here at number 12. We would have been pretty tempted to take Terrion Arnold. They wind up moving on from Damari Mathis gets benched. Fabian Moreau winds up playing corner opposite of Pat Surtain. And you think about, the Chiefs in that division and what Herbert is, you'd love to have a stacked set of corners, but I predictively, I wouldn't do this. I think they're going to like J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, the quarterback. Obviously, seems like they're done with Russell Wilson. You can't go to war with Jarrett Stidham, man. You can't do that. I think J.J. McCarthy is a player that maybe the NFL is going to like more than some of us in media. Smart player, I think in his core, I think Sean Payton wants to run the football and have a good decision maker at quarterback. Kind of what J.J. McCarthy is shown to be at Michigan, and I think he could be a player that he can kind of build this thing around.
Which puts the Raiders on the clock at 13, and they also have a scarcity among scarcities at the defensive line. And the skid's going to stop here for one of these guys because we need some horses up front big time. The value for the interior offensive line, which is needed for the Raiders, isn't quite here. But Byron Murphy from Texas, I really like his fit amongst what the Raiders have up front on the defensive side of the ball with obviously Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz is an explosive guy. Murphy's pretty versatile, pretty dense. Pretty athletic. That's a good combo. I like him here to the Raiders at pick 13.
I'm in an interesting spot with the Saints here. Picking number 14. Part of me, Saints always pick trenches, right? Like it's kind of their deal.
Yeah.
Andrus Peat, expiring contract. Trevor Penning hasn't really given you much in 2 years. There's plenty of offensive line options here that are pretty intriguing. Corner could be interesting depending on Marshawn Lattimore's future. Edge rusher is certainly feels like there's some value on the edge. I know they got Granderson, they got Passignon, they got Cam Jordan. I feel like they just locked themselves into Derek Carr, right? Like
yep. And that's going to be another 2-year commitment once they restructure his contract.
So we gotta help Derek Carr, right? Shaheed's an exclusive rights free agent. They have Olave. I think we got to go back to the offensive line here. I'm going to go with a big time upside selection here. Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma. All the athleticism, power, and length you can ask for. Very much fits kind of what you've seen the Saints go for along the offensive line in the past. I think they're going to love the tools. I think they're going to love going offensive line. They're committed to Derek Carr. Let's make sure he has every chance to succeed.
Okay. Which puts the Indianapolis Colts on the board for my last pick in this half of the mock, pick 15. And, man, this is not a fun spot to pick. Would love to get another wide receiver and upgrade over Alec Pierce. Don't feel like I've got great value to do that here. The offensive line is considered a strength of this team, even though that's where the value is in this draft. They do have a couple of expiring contracts on the defensive line between Grover Stewart, Taven Bryan, Tyquan Lewis. So I could go that route. They also have some youth at corner that maybe we could upgrade upon as well. They have Juju Brents as a second-round pick. Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones, who's a 7th-round pick last year. I think that's probably Kenny Moore expiring contract. I think that's probably where I like the value, especially with the versatility of this player. Cooper DeJean from Iowa can play safety, can play corner. He fits the physical profile of all the corners that they've gone after as well. He's a Midwestern guy, right? Iowa for Indianapolis. There's a fit there too. So I'm going to go with DeJean to the Colts here at 15.
All right, I get Mr. Irrelevant of this first half of the first round mock draft. There's a pick. This feels like I looked, I got a little board here of options. This one just stands out to me in such a big way with Seattle as we look at this football team, and the interior offensive line is probably in some ways going to have to be remade. Maybe they'll bring back Damian Lewis or whatnot, but I still think they're going to need a starter that they probably find in the draft. Is there a hotter name on the interior offensive line than Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson? I know that I may be like, that was a player maybe some teams in the back half was targeting. We're not letting them get there. We feel like this is a plug-and-play center that gives us physicality. He's a big dude that can move. There's a nasty streak to him. Ton of motor there. And they got a couple of backs there in Charbonnet and Ken Walker that you feel like they want to really unlock. So, I mean, this guy gives them a ton of ability to create displacement in the run game, but, a secure pass protector that's going to allow them to get the ball to these receivers. I feel like they got to remake that middle three, and JPJ can certainly be a good start to that.
Well, there you have it. That is picks 1 through 16 of this Draft Dudes 2024 post Senior Bowl mock draft. We hope you enjoyed. You can come back and find out the rest of the picks tomorrow, the back half, 17 through 32. I'm Kyle Krabs. He is Joe Marino. We're Locked On NFL Scouting. Find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Make it a great rest of your day. We're out of here. Peace.